Hello, YouTubers. Oh, hello, mad world. Welcome to another video. This particular video, we're going to take a deeper dive into your comments. Some very, very insightful comments that you've left on some of my more recent videos. And I want to get to, it's not an elephant in the room as such, but it is something that needs addressing first. The first comment. And I say that because remember Alex uploading a video where some cops appeared at his front door. And Alex pointed the finger of suspicion and accusation. J'accuse. They weren't wearing their epaulets. That's what he was saying. And it was kind of a zeitgeist moment. A lot of people were saying, well, they should have had their collar numbers there. They should have had their epaulets worn, and they should have done this and they should have done that. Well, Dogglebird's comment on one of the videos actually answers that particular point. So I'll leave it to Dogglebird to address it rather than me give you an opinion, and it might not be an accurate opinion. So Dogglebird says, Adrian, I suspected Belfield early on. Just one example. He was protesting the police officers who searched his house and arrested him on suspicion of making a bomb threat when not displaying numbers. And he reckoned that that would be one of the grounds to sue Nottinghamshire Police. I told him several times via the comments that it was Home Office policy for officers to remove their numbers when dealing with any case of suspected terrorism, including all bomb threats. How I knew this and that his solicitor would confirm it. Nevertheless, he kept repeating the same lie, saying the police were breaking the law. Sounds like a rock song. By not showing their numbers. He knew that was a lie. Thank you, Dogglebird. It's been one of those ever-present questions and accusations that have been promulgated throughout the comments on some of the videos that I've made. And thank you for correcting that and giving us a brilliant insight. Thank you, Dogglebird. So the cops that turned up without their epaulets on, it's Home Office policy. That's obviously why he didn't sue. Maybe. Only he will know. But the other thing is that I understand it was a full examination when he got to the cells. Not great for him and not great for the officers that have to do it either. From Emma, Adrian, the convicted stalker knew it was a lie as he briefly admitted it in a video. Blimey. I also strongly suspect his story about the police bashing down his door during a raid was just another lie too. Not to interrupt Emma's comment, but Cameron Baptiste is a comedian, and it was Cameron that came onto my LBC late night show talking about having his back doors bashed in. Wouldn't surprise me if the convicted stalker was listening at that point, but it's an old gag. It is an old gag doing the backdoor routine, so to speak. So I think he was just using it for comedy effect, Emma. But if you've never heard of Cameron Baptiste, go and check him out. He's so funny. And I was very privileged to have him on my LBC show. Alex was having some building work done on his house at the time, which involved replacing his front door. I believe that the broken door he was seen clutching on the ground in a video was actually removed by the workmen doing the work. I think it also came out in court that the police did not force entry into his home and that Alex let them into his home voluntarily. Thank you, Emma. Paul E. Anyone remember when Jim Davidson invited Belfield for some sort of awards ceremony and sat him next to Farage? That's in Nigel Farage. I watched that video and it looked to me like Farage felt uncomfortable sitting next to Belfield, let alone talking to him. Belfield couldn't wait to tell his worshippers all about it and that there was more to come involving Farage. Yet nothing came. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would bet that Farage had been warned by his people about Belfield and his ongoing situations. Cough still hanging around. Emma again, yes, I remember that. It was a charity ball for Care After Combat, which is a veterans charity that Jim Davidson supports. Belfield promised his followers that he'd get an interview with Farage during the event. The only people he ended up interviewing were Jim Davidson and Bobby Davro. Maybe Farage turned him down as he didn't want to be stalked. David John, yeah, I remember that video. My comment at the time was, like him or not, Nigel is a gentleman and would be polite and courteous to all. Belfield alleged he had Nigel's phone number and would arrange an interview. Nothing materialised. Toxicology. Thing is, Adrian, from all of the normal human beings who were taken in by the convicted stalker, they have now seen through him for what he is. What is left is just those people who are exactly the same as him, and there's no point trying to provide evidence to, because they're just scum-sucking pond life like he is. They're not even worth talking to or engaging with because they are what they are. Jake the Kipper. It took at least 5 minutes for me to stop laughing at this particular comment. Jake the Kipper says, the convicted stalker's ring must look like the back of JFK's head by now. Saltness Monster. I blame the Spanish government and officials. This is the Benidorm versus Belfield video. And my friend who allowed me to read out some of the stuff. And I think there's a comment coming up to back that up. But anyway, back to Saltness Monster. Adrian, I blame the Spanish government and officials for changing the rules and banning jibber-jabbered people to visit. The convicted stalker is right. There were silly curfews brought in Spain in the time frame, and the police were brutal if you broke any of the stupid laws. Alex is as bad as he isn't as cruel as our leaders, the political leaders. Notice how they're just circumnavigating that particular hot potato. A couple of years down the line, and now nobody's talking about it. Ian Gascoigne. Adrian, the Spanish government, just like any government, were perfectly entitled to change their rules, and of course, officials have to enforce them. Why should they let in unjibber-jabbered people who could infect others in their country? As for silly curfews, who's to say they're silly or not? Certainly not the convicted stalker. He's no virologist. No, just some bloke from YouTube spouting shite. Emma, Alex was a hypocrite who couldn't wait to roll up his sleeve for 2 jibber-jabbers so he could jet off to Mallorca and the US as soon as travel restrictions were lifted. Fair point, well made. From Andrew, he had a ball in Vegas just weeks before the trial. Andrew, I think it'll have been 2 balls. Emma, Saltness Monster, that's the self-delusional, arrogant behaviour of a narcissist. He didn't think he'd done anything wrong and never thought that he would end up in prison. That's why he was in Greg's, having his last steak bake. Now, this is the important comment that I wanted to get to. This is from Cameron James. Now, Cameron James is an entertainer in Benidorm. He's a wonderful man, wonderful entertainer, and one of the funniest guys you're ever going to meet. So if you ever go to Benidorm, check him out. He's a fabulous bloke and funny as. Cameron James. So this is Cameron James' response to the Benidorm versus Belfield video. Adrian, I am the person mentioned in this video and was subjected to Belfield's vile lies and vitriol. There had been lockdowns and curfews, but they were over at the time. He claims that they were still going on. I provided him with irrefutable proof and he blocked me. This wasn't the first time I had been on the receiving end of his lies. He's an evil, uncaring, unapologetic narcissist. Nothing anybody says will change my mind on that. I've experienced it firsthand. I have written this elsewhere as a reply to a comment on here, but here it is as a standalone. Thank you, Cameron James. It seems that there were a lot of people crossing swords with the convicted stalker. And his way was the only way. It was his way or the highway. Which is sad, really. I think... I mean, I've said this on my videos. Look, if I'm proven wrong, I'll hold my hands up. Mea culpa. But I Alex just went too far. He didn't have a stop button. And if people kept going at him, he just blocked them. I get that. But you've got to be right. He chose, even when he wasn't, to think he was. Pink Roses, thank you, Cameron. Cameron James, if you're ever in Benidorm, check him out. Funny boy, great singer, great entertainer. Pink Roses, a couple of years ago, an article online disclosed that Alex used to work with Jimmy Savile's driver, Ray Terrett, who was also a DJ. It claimed that he and Alex were caught looking at inappropriate videos, shall we say, because the algorithm would just block this video, in Ray's office. Tell you what I'll do, Pink Roses. I'll address some of the points that you're making whilst we read through your comment, because I don't want to get to the end and then have a long diatribe about stuff. I know that Alex knew Ray Terrett. I'm not sure that that is a truth. In fact, I would refute that. I would suggest that Alex wanted an interview with Savile. And Ray worked at the BBC, I think. And Alex may have known him loosely, but I think he was probably trying to get on Ray's good side so he could interview Jimmy Savile. Absolutely, categorically, nothing that I'm aware of would indicate that the convicted stalker would be looking at anything online with somebody else in somebody else's office. Unless it was a setup, of course, of which I have no knowledge. And as Pink Roses continues, there's also quite a disturbing video on YouTube called What Connects Alex Belfield to Sad Satan by Bunny Gathering, which is trying to imply that Alex has an interest in younger people. And again, I'm having to dance around this because of I can't necessarily use these specific words simply because YouTube doesn't like them. I'm sure and hope he's not. This is Pink Roses. I would appreciate your opinion on all of this. If they are all lies, then both article and video should be removed. Thanks, Adrian. I hope you're feeling better. Thank you, Pink Roses. I will say that I have seen the video, What Connects Alex Belfield to Sad Satan. And I think the only connection is they've used audio from Alex's Jimmy Savile interview. And to suggest anything else is malicious and nefarious. I don't think there is. And if there is proof, then just publish it. Publish it and be damned. So I would say that video, What Connects Alex Belfield to Sad Satan, hasn't had many views. It's a gaming, it's kind of a gaming platform, and people are you can see reaction videos online to what Sad Satan is. It's not something that I would ordinarily go and view, but I did my due diligence for you, Pink Roses, and I went and had a look, and it's literally just right at the very end of the video. It's Savile's voice saying something from the interview that he gave to Alex Belfield. So I think, to take your comment as a whole, Pink Roses, I don't think there's anything in the Ray Terrett connection at all. In my experience and having known Alex for 25 years, no, that's not his bag. That's not his thing. But then again, no, I think I would defend him. And the What Connects Alex Belfield to Sad Satan video, it's just, no. It's an online platform. And I think it's just the interview that they've used and tried to connect it for clicks or likes or whatever. So I think they're both lies. Pink Roses. The Bobby L. Adrian, you should go down on your knees and thank Alex. Without him, nobody would even watch for 5 seconds. I think the Bobby L. Alex might like to go down on his own knees and thank me for saving his career back in the old days, back in the early days when he was a teenager, because I've told you before in a different video, and please go and watch the other videos because there's lots of information in there, layered but lots. And the managing director of the radio station came to me and said, this kid Alex, what do we do with him? I'm thinking about letting him go. And I said, no. Just let him do what he's doing, answer the phones on my phone in, because I think he's a good kid, and I think that he's very good at his job. And the managing director said to me, that's enough for me. That's what we'll do. So at that point, he was going to be let go. He was just going to be saying, there's nothing here for you. Thanks very much for all your lovely work and effort and teamwork, but we're going to let you go. Happens all the time in radio. So I saved his bacon, the Bobby L. I'm sure Alex will thank me at some point in the future. Vic, Adrian, I find these videos really interesting. The details and events surrounding the centrepiece are very informative to me. I look forward to seeing the rest of the series. Thanks. And I know I tease. I know, but Vegas, baby. It's coming. Ken the Bean, he certainly robbed me. He's a failed star. He was always latching onto celebs and making sure we all saw it. Even conned Jim Davidson into having him around his show. I'm staggered at the sums of money he's gained corruptly. Hopefully someone will relieve him of it quite soon. I mean, if you think about the amount of money that the convicted stalker's been able to generate, that's more than some people earn in a lifetime. It's amazing the amount of money that he's generated. And that's what we know of. There's obviously stuff in the background that we don't know of. I won't go into that any more deeply. Emma, great video, Adrian. You've certainly done your homework. This is around, I think it must be 3 of 10, Alex Belfield. You've certainly done your homework and a lot of digging. I knew that he'd raised at least 150k in donations, as he mentioned it in a live stream once when he was drunk. He could also mention that, he also mentioned that he had a war chest stashed away. Could be the donation money he's using for the 2 defamation cases, ? He was earning a fortune on YouTube whilst asking pensioners and vulnerable people for donations, then rubbing their noses in it by jetting off on luxury holidays. First-class travel, 5-star hotels. What a greedy, grifting con man he is. Thank you for your comment, Emma, as always. Saltness Monster says he claimed it was 50k in a later video. He obviously lies a lot. Emma responds to Saltness Monster's comment. He didn't have any case against the BBC and never intended to sue them. He was using the donations money to intimidate his stalking victims with threats of litigation. He also knew he was in a lot of trouble with the police and needed to pay his top celebrity lawyers to get him out of the hole he dug for himself. He never intended suing anyone and didn't have a case. He gaslit and manipulated his fan base. The man is a compulsive liar. To add some context to this comment conversation that you can read for yourself if you want to go and have a look, Alex had a situation with the BBC, and I'll probably leave that for a later video because there's a lot of detail and I can only sort of paraphrase now. But Alex decided he wasn't going to sign. He wasn't going to re-sign for the BBC. He'd had a torrid time there and had decided he wasn't going to re-sign. So they decided they were going to pay his contract off and off he would go. The BBC didn't pay him for nearly a year. And that's when he had to take legal guidance and advice as to what to do with them to cough up what they put in writing to say that they would do. So I kind of get, on the one hand, that people see Alex as anti-BBC. And in certain respects, he is. But at the same time, things happen to him that, well, they could have been dealt with much more appropriately. We'll put it that way, being measured. But, he did have a case. And they paid him eventually. So he had a case and he was in the right. But as I say, we'll do that in a different video so you can get all the context and the detail. Because I don't want to do it when I can only paraphrase it today, when I'd rather give you detail so that you can see. Saltless Monster responds again, Emma, you're right. The first video I saw of him was a man who hated himself. He changed his format and pretended to be nice and was a massive hit. He had focused on uplifting phone calls and exposing the trusts about lockdown, and he left and the left, he would be a multimillionaire by now. Sadly, like Adrian said, he hates himself and went down a path of stupidity. I agree. Right, this is quite long enough, and I've got a lot more that I can do. So I'll break this down into another video, but I will end this video with this very clever insight. Adrian, thank you for all your videos. Great job on breaking down such a complex topic into understandable parts. And that's all I'm trying to do. As I say repeatedly, I have lived experience with a convicted stalker. I know the people involved, and there are very few, because radio is not a big industry, but there are lots of moving parts. And a lot of people will comment on certain things and say certain things that are clearly untrue, but they believe that it is truth. And it's not for me to kind of point the finger, as I said at the beginning of this video, and say j'accuse. It is just for me to continually give you truth and my lived experience. Somebody talked about barrister and him hiring a barrister for the court case. I'm going to tackle that in the next video, because he clearly didn't. The court appointed a barrister for him. And then the judge made Alex pay, I think it was about 10 grand to the court, because Alex told him he didn't have any money. And now we see champagne sippers are sitting there with £400,000 in the account before taxes and other deductibles. But as I've just said, that kind of money is money that some people won't earn in their lifetime. And he's sitting in it in one bank account. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to round off this video now, and I will do another video around more of your comments, because there's lots of great insight that I want to make sure is captured and kept on video. Please, so just make sure that you like and subscribe, because it helps the channel immensely. I did a live recently, and a lot of people liked it when I asked it, which was wonderful. Thank you very much. So, my name's Adrian Allen. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. Thank you for your time and your eyeballs, of course. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next video.